Hi Charlotte, how you doing?
Hi, have we met, or do I just know you from the internet?
We have well, it
We've
might be
met.
both. I don't know, but
Might be
we
both.
did meet last year. Yes, at the I met you all last year for this particular junket. So
Oh, well, we were in London. We that nice junket where we were all in a hotel room.
when we were allowed in hotel rooms, and
Those were good
you know,
times.
yeah, good time, good times. We could share air, lovely times. Although you do have like everybody else, they've sent you the lovely backdrop, which is
Yeah,
ended. I just have a boring
yeah,
thing. Never
yeah. It's
mind.
amazing because I basically can still pretend that I am at Berkeley Castle and that I do still have a job, and that 2020 didn't happen. So it's dream life for me, really.
Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, exactly. What be like 3 days? I'd be like, oh, yes, I remember.
You'll have it in a year, in like a year's time. You'll get it out for people at parties and stuff. Remember?
There'll be no parties ever again.
Well, that's true. That's sorry, Boris. I shouldn't say such things.
Yeah, I thought maybe I could make it into a duvet, which is really what most
Or
of
a
you know.
duvet. There you
Yeah,
go.
that'd
That's
probably be
that's
a more
a
fitting
that's a
2020.
good centerpiece for your bedroom. Yeah. Congratulations on the show again.
Thank you.
Going great guns. I mean, I spoke to you and the guys last year, and you were all really excited to kind of get the show out there and let people see it. And now it's just gone gangbusters. I mean, you must be pinching yourself just how well it's gone, how well it's gone down with audiences.
That's so nice of you to say. Yeah, I actually the thing is I'm really excited for this second season. I really love the first season, but the first season for me was like such a kind of like heady whirlwind of mostly just being really nervous. It was like my first big job, and I remember like the first like 6 weeks of filming, was like just terrified the whole time. And this season I've like I hope I've got better. That sounds really stupid. Like I got to go back to a character and I knew her, and I'd like done so much of the work was in my body that I got to like, yeah, just have like getting to have another go at something is always like so satisfying as an actor. And I really feel like everyone came back this season and like brought their A game because they had that kind of like confidence in their bellies that like, yeah, okay, we know what we're doing now. And that's not to say there still weren't days where I was like, oh, I bet it was awful today. But at least like I felt much more confident going into the season, and the themes that it talks about, like particularly the kind of the infertility and the loss of children and the breakdown of a relationship. That as an actress for me is like that's the kind of the dream job because it's so raw and so like deep in my like stomach that's a kind of like it's such a I thought the first one was a dream role, but this one is like a double dream role, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. I mean, it's very rare that you get to go back and revisit a character unless you're doing TV. And in this case, you get to go back. She's, the same person, but there's different layers to her, even more layers to
Yeah,
her than there were before. I mean, that must be exciting to do that because you know her, but you also there's still surprises to be found.
yeah, because it's not just like I mean, I to be honest, I would love to get to go back and just do the first season all over again because I really loved the job so much. But it is like like a real win to get to go back but also get new material. Like it feels like a lot of that kind of the character work was already there. And then I just got to be like, okay, like let me navigate her now. It was great. But I always love going back. Like I'm the kind of person that like when I do a self-tape, I like to do it like 3 times. And just because then like the first time you're just kind of working it out and then you just let it mingle a bit. And then when you come back to it the third time, it's just like in your body. And I guess it's because you're not trying so hard. There's like an ability to be much more relaxed because there's a confidence that like you've done a lot of the work already.
Mm. I was speaking to your showrunners earlier, and they were saying about Catherine's story and about how, kind of in history and in other cases of her being on screen, that she's kind of like a side character, whereas in this one she's at the forefront. And I just wondered how that was to play her, knowing that there was so much of her that we don't know, that there was so
Yeah,
much to discover there that we've only ever seen glimpses of.
yeah, it's really satisfying, honestly. Like we really only know Catherine in relation to like the man who divorced her and the woman who stole her husband from her, and yet there's a like whole and also like as a kind of like pious dowdy queen, and there's a whole story before that is like really, really rich. Like it was really satisfying to be like, oh, you think you know who she is, but actually I'm going to tell you that she was like a badass warrior and like and a woman and like a wife before she was a divorcee.
Yeah, and there's that great. I mean, you touched on it then there slightly, but that the image that we've seen of season 2 now with you with the armor and then the big pregnant belly and everything else. I mean, that's such a great image of her, but also kind of a testament to the woman that she was, in that she was willing to push herself that far for the sake of everything that was, you know, that she stood for. It must have been great to see that image, but also see again in history we don't know this about her. For me, that was just kind of a shocker. And the showrunner, your guys were saying, you know, that's kind of true that she did these things.
She didn't go to battle.
Well, she didn't go to. She was there on the periphery.
But she gave a speech.
Right?
She gave a really important speech. But it was like, to be honest, as an actress, like, and I'm very small, so it's very rare that I get to play these like kick-ass parts. But it was my favorite bit of the whole shoot, getting to be like, I remember when we did Flodden and it was raining and muddy, and I was like, this is like everything to me, because I was like, I felt like one of the boys. And it was, yeah, for someone that is often, I actually am very strong. But for someone who is often like just looked at as like a small tiny miniature person, to get to be able to like go in and do these like proper battle sequences, which is usually, especially in period drama, something that is left just to the boys, and be like, no, I'm going to do this too. It was really satisfying.
Yeah, and there's you, and obviously there's other amazing women. Lina, Stephanie's character, and Laura's character. I mean, all these amazing women in history that, again, we don't know too much about, but there's so much of their stories that you could kind of navigate to 2020 in the sense of people's struggles and everything else. I mean, do you think that's why the show has hit so much, that it does kind of mirror things that we're dealing with now?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that that's what I am really hopeful that will happen with season 2. Because like with the like relationship with Lina, so when I was like preparing for this role, I read this amazing essay by Emily Pine in Notes to Self, where she talks about having a miscarriage, losing a child, and then her sister getting pregnant, and being like both really happy for her sister and also like deeply jealous at the same time. And when I read that, I was like, this is Catherine and Lina. Like, Catherine and Lina are they're sisters. They're like best friends and confidants, and yet Catherine is able to be like incredibly happy for Lina, but also like really jealous. Like she makes even just like this. There's this comment like right at the beginning where she touches Lina's bump and she's like, "I feel like you're having a girl," and then Lina has boy twins, and that feels to me like that could happen. That's like as much a modern day story as it is a like period story. And it felt, I have a sister, and I've often worried about not being able to have kids and imagining my sister with like her big family and how happy but also jealous I would be. And so it felt that storyline felt like just like very on the surface for me. But I think all of that, like, there are also lots of women who are going through like struggles with infertility and like miscarriages and breakdowns of marriage. I think this season, the themes that we're talking about are the things that like occupy my mind all the time. And yet, like, yeah, we're obviously in entirely different circumstances, but I really related to a lot of Catherine's anxieties.
Yeah. Well, listen, lovely to talk to you again. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with everything. Good luck with your duvet.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to need a really big bed.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.